ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते. So welcome to our weekly session. Sorry we could not do it on Saturday, that is tomorrow morning. So we are preponing it today evening, Friday evening, so that we do not have long gap. Now in the last session, we saw that Nachiketa asked the most profound question from Yamraj, that is there a soul? Is something remain after death? If so, what is that? Where does it go? What happens to it? And that is the most profound question which is behind this Upanishad. And then Yamraj told him that, even the gods, Devtas, have not been able to understand this knowledge. This is very subtle knowledge. You don't need to understand, don't need to go into that kind of knowledge. And he told him that, you can ask something else. And when Nachiketa insisted, then Yamraj gave him what we call temptations. There are 3 verses, 3 mantras, which are full of temptations. And those temptations are so good that anybody can fall prey. We saw the story of a saint who knew the God, and he offered to take his villagers to the God, and what happened to them finally. So these temptations are in 3 portions, 3 parts. The first temptation is that you can have a big family, putra potra, and you can have lot of gold, lot of wealth. You can have bahun pasun, lot of animals, elephants and horses. And you can ask me the long life, you can live as long as you want. So he gave him this first temptation. Now, if this temptation is given to some of us, they will all fall prey. Okay, let's go for it. But Yamraj was disappointed. Nachiketa did not accept this. He says no. Then Yamraj gave him another, even higher than that. He says that you can have as much wealth as you want to live for infinite time. Vittam chirjivikam. Long life, you can have all that with all that wealth, which enables you to live very, very long life. And then he says, Mahabhumo, you can have a long, piece of land, big piece of land. And you can actually enjoy all the benefits which are available on this earth. You can even become Samrat, the king of this earth. Chay Mahabhumo, Edhi, Twak Kamanam. That you become, you take a long, big plot of land, I give you that, you rule that, you fulfill all your desires, and you can have as much wealth as you want for a very long and infinite life. So this was even more tempting. But then again, Yamraj was disappointed. Nachiketa did not accept it. Then Yamraj offered even higher than that, another temptation. He says, ye kama durlabha mrityu loke. Whatever is not available in this mrityu lok, in this, sansar, which is available only in Swarg. I can give you all that as well. And he says that you can have what we call apsaraj, the maidens, beautiful maidens, who will serve you in every possible way. And they will dance and they will sing and they will do whatever you want to do. So that temptation was given. So these are the three major temptations which we all fall prey. It is extremely difficult to find a person who will not fall prey to these temptations. But Nachiketa did not. And perhaps the purpose of Yamraj was to test the will of Nachiketa, whether he has strong will to know the knowledge which is very, very rare and even not known by the gods. So here there are two words which I would like to expand a little bit more. The first word is Varan. Now Varan is one which is, it is like the ultimate goal you have decided for yourself. Varan means you should have, what you call Nishchayatmak Buddhi. You have total dedication to that goal. Now, sometimes people have Varan, okay, I want to become very wealthy. Now they have become, they have made that as a Varan. Some people, want to have power. I want to become the prime minister of the country. That is the Varan. And then they make Nishchayatmak Buddhi, the very firm, intellect to follow that goal. So Varan is was also, this word was also in the Mundak Upanishad. Varan is used in Sanskrit for the very, what you call final goal for which you decide. Now, your path will be laid down based on that Varan. Whatever goal you decide, ultimately your path has to be according to that goal. And then sometimes you keep changing the goal also. This is also there. But changing of goal is possible only with respect to the worldly objects. Beyond those objects, it is not possible. So when you are talking about the final or the ultimate knowledge, then you cannot have, vacillation there. You cannot have change of that goal. And that is why Yamraj wanted to be sure that Nachiketa has decided to warrant this particular aspect of life, to make this as the ultimate goal, and he is not vacillating at all in the path. And that is why he gave him these three big temptations, one after another. So now we will go to the mantra number 26. Mantra number 26 says, Srobhava martasya yadant kaitat. Srobhava means shanbhangur bhog. The desires, fulfillment of desires, which are only transient, which are temporary, which will again and again. And then it talks about Sarvendriyanam yat tej. Sarvendriyanam jaryanti tej. Now, what he says, Nachiketa is telling to Yamraj that all these bhog, all these offers, all these temptations which you offer to me, all these boons which you are offering me in those last three mantras, they are transient. They are not going to last long. They will, lose their lust after a while. And then he says that Sarvendriya Nam Jaryanti Tej. You can actually use those bhog, you can only consume those things, or you can satisfy your desires only as long as your sense organs are active. Sense organs have that energy. Sense organs have that, you know, that power, that sense. Once they start becoming weak, what is the point of all this? They are not useful. So this is very important here, that these are transient, slobhava. And then jaryanti tej, that as soon as your sense organs become weak, these are useless. These serve no purpose at all. Yeah? So then he says, api sarvam jivital mevve. Then he says that even if I get a very long life, in the context of the infinite life in this universe, eternity, it's a small thing. It cannot be indefinite. It cannot be infinite. It will still be short. One day you will come back and take me away. So Nachiketa is actually arguing very well. He is already well versed in these, aspects of life, and is putting very credible, arguments to Yamraj. And Yamraj obviously getting a little astonished with this young child putting this kind of arguments. So he says that, there are three things here. One is that they are Shanbhangur, they are transient. Secondly, that your sense organs will lose their, power, their energy after a while. So there's no point in, giving all these things. And thirdly, that even if you give me a long life, that life will still be very small. It cannot be very long in any case. So all these things you keep to yourself. I don't want them. That is what Nachiketa has told him very clearly, that I don't much pleased inside, but surprised as well. So this is what he said in mantra number 26. Now mantra number 27, he continues to do that. He says that ne vitten tarpaniyo manushyo, that the earth, the wit, the wealth can never satisfy a person. A man can never be satisfied with wealth. Lapyasham eha vittam traksham chetva, that I have, witnessed you. I have seen you. You have given me the darshan. That itself is the greatest wealth for me. What wealth I need more than that? I am able to see you. You have given me your darshan. That is the greatest wealth in my life. I don't need any more wealth. And then he says, Jivisham, Jivishamo Yavdi Shisham Sivitva Varastu me Varaniya Se Evam. That until the time when you are ruling this world, we have nothing else to ask for, Varniya, nothing else to ask for but this knowledge, because you are the depository of this knowledge. You are the ruler of this world, because Yamraj is also the final ruler. He brings everybody, not only everybody, but everything and everybody to death. Everything which is born is brought to death by this great power called Yamraj. So he says that nothing else I need. This is what you want. So in these two mantras, he has very clearly declined the great offer. And then he continues again. He says, mantra 28, Ajirya tam vratapan mrityuks jiryan mritya kvat swat prajanan. That this body of the human being, jirna mritya, it is going to go weak and finally achieve the mrityu, the death. It becomes weak and it is going to achieve the ultimate goal called death. And it cannot be without what we call old age, ajiryatam. It cannot attain that ajiryatam state. It has to have the old age. It will not stay continuously forever. Eh? Amritanam, it can never become Amrit. It can never be indestructible because this body is subject to, old age and death. And all that offer which you are giving me, all that enjoyment cannot continue forever because this body is subject to old age, subject to death, and therefore ultimately it will come to an end. So before we take the mantra 29, I want to go on two important aspects of this. You see, this is also related to some of the stories, very popular stories in our writings. One of them is the story of Hiranyakashipu. We just celebrated Holi, so I think this is very relevant. Hiranyakashipu did a great tapasya, and the Brahma was very happy with his tapasya. He did that after his brother was killed by Vishnu, and he wanted to take revenge. So he did this tapasya for Brahma, and Brahma finally became very happy, and he says, ask me for a boon. Now, in the world, what kind of boon you can ask? So he says, he wanted to become immortal. So he says, I want to become immortal. He says, that is not possible. So then Hiranyakashipu put the same thing in different words. He says that no astra, no weapon should be able to kill me. He said, okay. He says, nobody should be able to kill me during the day or during the night. Brahma said, okay. He said, nobody should be able to kill me either inside or outside. Brahma said, okay. Then he said, neither man nor beast should be able to kill me. He said, okay. Now Hiranyakashipu thought that he has made a fool of Brahma, that he has obtained the same boon in a different form. And he thought he was very happy. Now he thought that he has become immortal. Now, that is what, Nachiketa is talking about, that you can never become immortal. But Hiranyakashipu thought that he can become immortal. And then you know what happened finally? We all know the story. That when Prahlad was being tortured, and Prahlad was his son actually, Hiranyakashipu was his father. Prahlad refused to accept him as God. He said that I am now God because I am completely immortal. Nobody can kill me. Nobody can kill me in the day, in the night, with any weapon, with no beast, no human being, inside, outside. So he has all the protections now. How can, Brahma be wrong? Brahma cannot be wrong, and he has made a fool of Brahma. So now he said, I declare myself as God. And Prahlad did not accept it. He was, the, what you call, devotee of Lord Vishnu. So ultimately, finally, when we know the whole story, I don't want to go into that, but The final phase is that when he was about to be killed by his father, Hiranyakashipu, he asked him, ask your Vishnu to protect you. And he tied him around a pillar. And as soon as he started, raising his sword and started killing him, and we know who appeared. We have Narsimha Avatar. He was neither a man nor a beast. So, and he took Hiranyakashipu on his lap. So he was not on the ground, he was not in the space. He sat down on the entrance of the house, that is Dahli bolte hain, Dahli. So it was neither inside nor outside. And he did not use any weapon because he used his nails to kill him. And he was killed. So this is how, you can never become immortal. Immortality is not possible. So this story of Hiranyakashipu tells us that even after a great tapasya, he got a sort of unbelievable boon. Even that boon could not give him infinite life and all the pleasures of life. And that is what Nachiketa knew, that it is not possible. Then we also know the story of Yayati. Yayati was a great king of the, ancestor of Kaurava and Pandavas, much before Santanu. And he actually is very well known. He was a great king at some stage. He married a lady called Devyani. Now, Devyani was the daughter of a famous, saint called Sukracharya. Though he was a saint, but he was helping the Asuraj. He was the priest of the Asuraj. So Sukracharya's daughter was married to him. And with Devyani came his maiden, that is Sarmista. Her name is Sarmista. Sarmista was, as in the ancient days, the tradition was that the maid servant would would accompany the bride. So she came and lived with Devyani, to serve her in the palace of Yayati. But over time, Yayati fell in love with Sarmista as well. But it was not known, but at some stage Devyani got to know it. And then she told her father Sukracharya, this is what happened. Sukracharya became extremely angry. He became furious. And he gave him a sharp. He said, you will immediately become old. You will lose all your vitality and youth straight away. And that's what happened. He became old overnight, immediately. But then Yayati prayed to him. He pleaded, don't do this to me, all this. And Devyani also felt that, this is not fair. So then Sukracharya gave him that this cannot be nullified. This has happened. But I give you an option. If one of your sons is able to sacrifice his youth for you, then you can gain your youth. So he tried many of his sons. None of them agreed. The youngest one, Puru, he agreed. And he says, okay, I give my youth for you. So the Puru gave his youth. Yayati became young once again. And then the story goes to tell that he lived for several hundred years, perhaps 1,000 years. And he consumed all the pleasures of life. He enjoyed all the pleasures. And at the end of that life, he got to learn that these pleasures are not lasting. They are transient. And there are, very good verses in Mahabharata to describe that. So I'll go to a few of them. Uh, this is in reference to this particular story of Yayati. One of them is, there are 18 parvas in Mahabharata. This is one parva, second chapter, verse number 47, which says, Anityam yovnam rupam jivitam ratna sanchaya aiswaryam priya samvaso gatyat tatra na pandita. All objects of pleasure are transient in nature. External beauty, youth, wealth, good health, and the company of the dear ones, all are transient in the nature. Then there's another verse which says, which is from the Shanti, the Parv, Shanti Parv of Mahabharata, chapter 33, verse number 20. It says that accumulation ends in destruction, rise ends in fall, the coming together ends in parting, and the life ends in death. So this is duality. Everything which begins ends. Rise comes to downfall. Construction leads to destruction. Togetherness ends in parting. So this is what the end of life is. Then there's another verse which is here from same Shanti Parv, chapter 180, verse number 24, which describes this situation very beautifully. On acquiring wealth, man wants to acquire a kingdom. Having acquired a kingdom, they want to become gods. And then among gods, they want to become the king of gods. So the desires are infinite. They keep progressing in geometric progression. They keep going again, over and over again and again. And they keep actually rising one after another. Then in continuation, there's another verse. This is from the Adi Parv, chapter 85, verse number 13. Neither all the grain in the world, nor all the gold, nor all the women are sufficient enough even for one man. Man's body decays, but not his desires. And this was told by Yayati, this particular verse. That neither all the grain in the world, nor all the gold, nor all the women are sufficient even for one man. Man's body decays, but not his desires. I think, if we introspect ourselves, we will all find this is true. Now, continuous to this, there is another verse, which is also from the Adi Parva. This is also in the same context. By pleasing the desires cannot be satisfied. With the pleasement, they only grow. Like fire, when more fuel is added. So when you satisfy the desire, they grow. By pleasement, they do not die. They do not go away. न जातु कामे कामानुमो भोगेन शाम्यति. भोग से शाम्य नहीं होते. They do not extinguish by भोगिंग, by enjoying. In fact, they become more active. So this is what these are the lessons which we learn from the Nachiketa Yamraj, what you call samvad, or the conversation between the two, the dialogue between the two, is indicating to these facts of life. Now, Nachiketa was very well versed about these facts of life, and that is why he said that all these offers which you are making to me, They are all transient. They cannot be enjoyed by sense organs when they become old, when they become, useless, when they lose their power and energy. And nobody can, be immortal because the body is subject to old age and decay and death. So these are the facts which he said. It obviously shows that he was very mature in saying all this. Now he is in the last, but this is the first Valli, and this is the last mantra of this Valli. Mantra is 29. So here he says, Yasmin nidam vichikitsanti mrityo yatsam parayraye mahati bruhi nastat yogyam varo gud manu pravishto jnanam tasman nachiketa vranite. So he says here, Hey Yamraj, जिस महान आश्चर्यमय परलोक संबंधी आत्मज्ञान के विषय में ये शंका करते हैं कि आत्मा मरने के बाद रहता है या नहीं रहता है, उसमें जो निर्णय है वही आप मुझे बताइए. So he is coming back to the original question that after the death, when the body is dead, is there a soul? If it is so, what happens to that? That is what I want to know. I don't want any other boon from you. Gudam anupravishta vara, अत्यंत गंभीरता को प्राप्त हुआ वर है. This is what I want to know. Nachiketa says, I do not want any other boon. Very clearly he said he declined the offer of Yamraj, and told him in a very firm way that I don't want anything else. So this is what is called Nischayatmak Buddhi. And he says the word here, Vranite, the Varan has come here also, Vranite, that this is what I have decided as my final goal. And I want to know, I am dedicated, I am devoted, I am tied to this only. I don't have any other object in my life. I only have one, that is to know about the soul, whether it exists or not. After death, what happens to it? Where does it go? And, what is the gati, movement of the soul? So this is what Nachiketa is finally indicating to Yamraj. After all the temptations, after all his, pep talk, to persuade him not to ask that question, but he continues to remain there. And therefore, now Yamraj have known that he is absolutely dedicated to this question only. He could not be swayed, he could not be persuaded to take the other route at all. So this is what we will end our session here today. And this is the first Valli of this Upanishad. And we will start the second Valli. This is more like the introduction to the Upanishad. The second Valli onwards is the entire secret of Atma, whether it exists, how it exists, what form it exists, that will be explained by Yamraj, because now Yamraj have no other option but to accede to the request of Nachiketa. So thank you very much for joining in this, unorganized way. It was not the scheduled time, but thank you very much. And we will continue on our session next week as usual on Saturday morning. Thank you.